The United Kingdom just announced that it will lower the voting age to 16 in time for its next general election. Scotland and Wales already allow it for regional votes, and now England and Northern Ireland are set to follow. So their reasoning is that at 16, citizens can work, pay taxes, and enlist in the military. So many argue that they should have a say in the political decisions affecting their futures. They're not alone. Austria, Argentina, Brazil, and Cuba already allow voting at 16. In Germany, Luxembourg, and Malta, it applies in certain elections. And just this week, a bill was introduced into Australia's parliament to do the same, though it's facing pushback. Advocates say it's about expanding civic engagement, while critics argue it risks politicizing an even younger demographic and rigging elections to lean left. Lindy, once again, I lay this at your feet.
Yeah, I think the question that we should first ask ourselves, and I think a lot of our viewers are wondering, why should we care what's going on in the United Kingdom? Well, let me tell you why we should care, because oftentimes what's happening in England, in Wales, and Scotland, it's a canary in the coal mine for what's happening in the United States. And, for example, Brexit is the biggest, most prominent example of, I think it would presage Trump. A lot of the underlying sentiment drove and it was an indication of what was going to happen in the United States. Also, the sentiment around illegal immigration in the United Kingdom is echoed here across the pond. And so what's happening right now is under Keir Starmer, the Labour Party is lowering the voting age from 18 to 16 in all UK elections starting in August 2029. It's already happening in Scotland and Wales, but now it's across the United Kingdom. And their argument for this is future-proofing democracy to ensure that the policies and measures that the government puts forth actually caters to younger generations. Because right now, the status quo is that a lot of older voters are voting, but not so much younger voters. And a lot of people are in an uproar because they're really upset. They're saying these people have no idea. Their prefrontal cortex hasn't even fully developed. According to some medical studies, men's brains...
20s.
Exactly. Jillian, this is your wheel.
I mean, it's without question.
What's the age for men?
25.
And there are some studies, I actually
She's 100% right. And I have two teenagers. I can speak from an observation.
Is it earlier for women?
It's much earlier, early 20s for us. And I just want to see, I mean, we all know, right,
it's
from
still,
personal
though,
experience.
20s. I mean, you could see it with kids. I mean, they are half-baked. My kids make decisions. I'm like, are you there? Is anyone home in there?
To be fair, there are plenty of adults, like middle-aged people who are half-baked.
I mean, we just saw, I hate to bring it up, but the Coldplay affair with the couple, and I mean, they're in their 50s, right?
Like, what are you doing? What are you
Exactly,
doing, bro?
exactly.
You're in an arena with your mistress.
Right.
Allegedly. Yeah.
Exactly. There was one study, actually. I dove deep into this last night, and there was one study that said the male brain doesn't fully form until 32.
Oh, I had actually thought it was 25.
Exactly. 25 is a prevailing opinion, but also there was one that said 32. So they are bringing the age of voting to 16. They're not even allowed to buy pornography, cigarettes. They don't have kids. These people are still in high school, but somehow they are now empowered to make decisions that affect national security, law, policy, and it's just, from my perspective, this is also dangerous because I think Anna and Jillian and Amy, I don't know about you, but I was deeply indoctrinated in college, in high school, in liberal ideology. I wasn't really presented with a conservative perspective. And so 16-year-olds right now, what they're seeing, even on TikTok, on social media, they are overwhelmed by leftist, I would call it, frankly, propaganda. And so they're not really presented by that point of view. It took me like a year to unlearn some of the stuff that I thought was true. So I would love to get your thoughts on this, but my take right now is that I don't see this happening right now in America, because right now I think what we're experiencing is kind of a conservative renaissance, so to speak.
Only among the boys.
You think yes, that's true. It is
only among the boys. The girls are pissed, and it's all about abortion. And every young girl I talk to is like, I'm going to a rally on reproductive rights. They are pissed as hell about that. They are up in arms. I'm not saying they don't have a right to be, but they will go left all day long.
Jillian, that's so interesting because abortions are way up. And a lot of that is because of medical abortion. They can just phone it in, and doctors can prescribe. I just think it's so interesting.
You're talking
exactly.
about?
Well, abortions and
there's abortion pill.
Abortion pill.
My bad.
And also, so Mississippi versus Jackson that happened in 2022, it overturned Roe. every single year abortions are up. So frankly speaking, reproductive rights are not under siege.
Good job, conservatives. You guys nailed it. Anyway, but no, seriously, let's go back to the voting at 16. I just think there's a contradiction here, right? So the UK is saying, oh, young people aren't voting. How can we get young people to vote? Let's lower the voting age to 16. Like, I'm not really worried about it. I mean, the least reliable voting demographic happens to be young people.
Yeah.
So I don't think that, look, I don't think that 16 is a good age to make it legal. I think 18 is the perfect age. You're an adult, right? You're able to,
Even
like,
I sometimes, you know, I don't know,
know.
Anna, because like, I'll give you one example, and I don't mean to interrupt you, but sometimes I even think young college kids who are like, go Mom Donnie. I'm like, you guys have no idea what this means.
But they're adults, and adults should be allowed to vote,
I hear you,
right? And there's a bunch of
it's scary when they don't
40-year-olds who vote in
experience.
they have ideas that I think are insane. And I'm not going to want them to stop voting or prevent them from voting. I think 16 is too young.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I mean, it's not good for anybody to become too ideologically captured, and when you don't have enough life experience, when you honestly don't even probably know what you're going to study when you get to college yet, you're still trying to figure out who you are, what actually matters to you. That's a part of those later teen and then early 20 experience to learn about yourself, to really see where you fall. I know, Anna, you were saying last night that you've been political from a young age. You probably already were at 16.
I remember giving a speech in front of the entire school in the lead up to the, war in Iraq. And obviously I was like preaching against it.
Right.
Good for you.
Yeah.
Actually.
So like,
Good for you.
I was politically
Why does this not
engaged.
surprise me?
But I was unique in
You're
in
built
the school.
different, and and most people, I feel like their brains truly can't handle it. And I think I've already shared on here the experience I had when I first started looking into politics at around 17, 18 years old. And it blackpilled me so much that I didn't take another look at it until COVID, when I saw how bad it got in Australia. And I was like, what's the difference between Australia's political system and America's? It got me back involved. But when I first started looking into it, I got deeply blackpilled because I went all the way down the rabbit hole. I learned about the deep state, all of these things, and it left me feeling helpless, disenfranchised, disempowered, and I didn't have the tools and faculties available to me at a 17-year-old to be able to vote productively, even if I had that option, because I was ideologically captured without being able to test it up against anything.
You bring up a really good point. In terms of that particular voting demographic, they are so deeply impressionable. And I want to give on a specific example of an issue on which they are extremely malleable, and I believe is a social contagion, and that is the trans movement. You see that basically, it's just proliferating around the country. It's being normalized, and it's amongst teenagers.
Yeah, I think
they are the ones catalyzing this.
Particularly teenage girls transitioning to.
Precisely.
Well, what's actually interesting is the statistic where it says that now 25% of Gen Z identify within the LGBTQ umbrella.
Yeah.
What actually makes that up the most is this. Non-binary and bisexual, which are two of the most transient things. You can just decide tomorrow, I'm not going to be a they, them anymore. You're back. You're not committing to anything. You're just bored. You need a personality. That's the freaking issue, dude. It's not a freaking incidence and uptick in sexual orientation.
It's not an outfit.
It's not like there's way
mood.
more gays and lesbians. I mean, and there is somewhat like the transition. People are being pushed into transition. But when you take a look at those stats and you break it down, it's interesting how many it's captured by non-binary and bisexual.
Yeah.
There's a phrase for it where, and it's actually, there's a large body of research on, suicides and how suicides lead to, I forget the word. I'm like, it's basically, it leads to more,
Copycats?
Basically, yeah. So, is contagion the right word?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Social contagion.
Social contagion,
Yes.
perfect. That's what I was
Yes.
looking for. So there have been those who are theorizing that you're seeing an increase in people identifying the ways that you referred to because of social contagion. That's not my wheelhouse. I haven't looked at those studies, so I can't say
Abigail
it.
Schreier wrote a fantastic book about this. It was actually thrown off of Amazon for a little while. I forgot the title. It's called Irreversible Damage. The transgender craze seducing our daughters. It's a must read if you're at all concerned about this. It's a brilliant book.
I don't want these very impressionable individuals making decisions that will affect our nuclear arsenal potentially, because they would be
I don't
voting
disagree.
for president.
I don't
They
want
are
it affecting
not-
my tax laws or my private property.
Exactly.
Okay.
I love my kids, but I remember as a young kid thinking communism sounded great because it sounded fair.
Right.
I was like, well, I don't understand. Why wouldn't we do this? Then everybody gets the same amount, and that seems utopian.
Right.
Now at 50, I'm like, this is a terrible idea.
Yeah, I think
do this.
I think it's silly. Like 18 is a good age.
Yeah.
Again, they're adults. I feel comfortable with 18. I think the standard of ideologically captured or impressionable is a bad standard because there are plenty of adults that fall under that category too. I just think you need to be an adult. You need to be a citizen of the country you want to vote in. End of story.
I also think that we should talk about the catalyst behind all of these voting age decreases, and that is the leftist attempt to solidify power. Because they know
that's the question, though.
They
That's
know
why, I mean,
exactly. They know
What, in
for this-
America?
the Labor Party,
because the
for
younger
sure.
kids-
Oh, you mean the UK?
This is the Labor Party.
See,
Yeah, for
I
sure.
do. That's how I thought we sort of got into the whole boy-girl thing, because boys are leaning more conservative, but girls are leaning more liberal. There are like a fraction, 1% more girls than boys or something. But the question is, does it equal out?
And it's interesting. We're going to talk about it in a upcoming
let's
episode.
go,
No, it's
go.
actually no, it's the
Here's
next
the joke,
one.
this is the one.
No. I'm going to talk about it Australia now. But what I was going to say, that's why there's a dating crisis right now amongst young people. One of the
Yeah.
main reasons is because they're converging so much politically that they're not able to find any common ground.
I can't wait to talk about that.
Yeah.
it's a really
Future
good topic.
episodes, guys. You'll see
I
that
do.
coming
I know
up.
we're going to segue out of this, but I do want to put just one final cherry on top. If we're going to talk about young people, we should also talk about people who are in clear cognitive decline and thinking that they can run our country at age 86.
Oh my God.
Yes.
There has to be a discussion around that as well on both ends.
That's such an uncomfortable discussion because I agree. I want to avoid another Biden debacle.
That was a debacle that we should never have again because
I agree.
Our nation was faced with that choice.
But what policy we decide on and how it's implemented is important because there are, obviously, look, Trump isn't that far in age.
That's why I think
and his cognitive ability is obviously very different from that of Biden's,
exactly. Exactly. So I don't think it should be about age. I think it should be about cognitive function.
Yeah, agreed.
Thank you so much for watching Her Take. If you like the show, can you help us out by subscribing to the channel, clicking the notification button, sharing, commenting, joining the conversation? It helps us out a ton with the algorithm. We appreciate you.